secure, permanent home, plus parents to call your own. This is what every child deserves and what is ideal.
It is not God's plan to see children growing up in orphanages like Sanyu Babies Home and so many other orphanages in Uganda.
But in a world full of unfortunate incidences like death of biological parents as well as abandonment, this may not necessarily be possible.
Some of them come when they have actually been injured, bitten by the dogs because they were left out into the bushes, and it is the dogs that try to rescue them.
But how else does a child get a home and parents to call their own? Well, today we look at adoption as a legal solution to this.
In Uganda, it is majorly governed by the Children's Act. Yeah. I know it all starts from, I think, Section 44 up to around Section 50 of the Children's Act.
According to the law, and as far as Sanyu Babies Home is concerned, adoption is free of charge. Children are gifts from God, and so when you walk into Sanyu Babies Home, you will get the child at no cost.
My name is Tracy Tendo, and you're watching Nalo.
My name is Barbara Nancha Mutagubia, and I'm the director at Sanyu Babies Home. Sanyu is a home that takes care of abandoned babies and children deprived of parental love. The home has been in place for the past 93 years, since 1929. That is when it was established by missionary sister Winfred Walker, who was working in Mengo Hospital by then. She was a midwife, and when she realized the increasing number of abandoned babies in the labor ward, she started keeping them in her home and giving them much needed care and protection until the number became huge that it was evident she couldn't handle them by herself. That is how Sanyu Babies Home was established, and since then we are taking care of abandoned babies and children deprived of parental love from a few hours old after birth up to 4 years old. And many of the babies come in our care when they are very sick, in desperate need of medical care and attention. Some of them come in at 1 day old, a few hours old after being rescued from pit latrine. A baby comes in full of waste and maggots walking out of their mouth, nose, private parts. Some come when they are severely malnourished and have physical signs clear signs of physical abuse. Some of them come when they have actually been injured, bitten by the dogs because they were left out into the bushes, and it is the dogs that try to rescue them. So each child that comes into our care has a story, but when they come, this is just a transit home. We are always looking at ways of having them being reintegrated into community, because we believe that children belong in families and not orphanages. This is an orphanage, much as we call it Sanyu Babies Home. So we have a team of social workers that go out into the community to do investigations, social inquiries, to try and trace for the known relatives. And if we find them, we are happy to work with them and establish if they are able and willing to take care of the children, prepare them until we have the child being reunited with a living family member. Now, when we talk about reunion, it does not necessarily mean that the baby is being reunited with a mother that was responsible for abandoning him or her. No, because abandonment is a crime, and therefore police will look for the mother. Sometimes the mothers are in prison. Some of them are actually sick in a mental hospital, but we go further to trace for the other known relatives, and that is how children exit Sanyu Babies Home. But in case we are not able to find a known relative and a child cannot be reunited with family, we place children in families for fostering and adoption, and that is how the biggest number of children exit Sanyu Babies Home. Each time a child exits, it allows us space to take on another child that is in desperate need of care and protection. Just like you can imagine with the effects of COVID, the numbers of children being abandoned is on the increase, and we obviously need space, but we also need to see the children living at Sanyu Babies Home being blessed with families, living in your families and not Sanyu Babies Home. Key requirements to look out for in the parent to be, first of all, the law in Uganda is very clear when it comes to issues of adoption. So in the Children's Act that was amended in 2016, there is a clear guideline on what should be looked at when somebody wants to adopt. And some of the things, first of all, you must be of age. 25 years old, the law requires that you actually must be 21 years older than the child you're taking home. Then if you're married, both of you should be able to apply for adoption, or one of the spouse should be able to give consent to the other one to proceed with the adoption. Because Sanyu, and now, yes, there is the law, but we also look at Sanyu Babies Home. So what I'm going to tell you is what we look at Sanyu, is what we look at as Sanyu Babies Home, because we are also a Christian organization, and there are some principles, biblical principles, that we treasure so much. For example, if you're a couple, and we say that what God has put together, no man shall put asunder, not even a child that you're adopting. So if your spouse is not into adoption, you're living under the same roof, but the spouse is like, you can go ahead, you can proceed, and they're not giving you full support, we wouldn't want to bring chaos and issues in your home. We want to ensure that the child will be embraced and welcomed by both the mother and father. We also want to confirm that you don't have any criminal record. So we ask for a criminal clearance report or certificate of good conduct from Interpol, recommendation letters from your LC1 chairperson, just to know you're a good citizen and they know you as a resident of that area, but also a recommendation letter from the Secretary for Children's Affairs. Many of us are usually known by our chairman, LC chairman, because we gave them some good money when we were purchasing that plot of land. But when it comes to issues of children and violence within our families, then the Secretary for Children's Affairs will know you very well. So we also require a letter from them, a letter from your place of worship, place of work, health statement letter, because the law requires that the prospective adoptive mother or father should be mentally and physically well to be able to adopt a child. So you go to hospital, do a general medical checkup, and national ID, we want to confirm that you are a responsible citizen, either national ID or passport. So briefly, that is what the law requires. But also, when we talk about adoption, many people always think that, oh, if I want to adopt, I'll just walk into Sanyu Babies Home. Once I get a child, I've adopted. It is a process. And the law provides that for you to become an adoptive parent, you must foster the child. There is long-term foster care, but then there is also short-term fostering. And for Sanyu Babies Home, we look at short-term fostering because these are babies whose known relatives we cannot find. And so we want you to come to foster a child with an intent to adopt. So short-term fostering is for 1 year. The child is under your care for a full year, and you are under the monitoring and supervision of your area probation officer, as well as Sanyu Babies Home. The child came from here, so we shall come and visit you and monitor you just to confirm everything is okay. And after 1 year, you go to court, and once you're given an adoption order which confers to you 100% parental rights over this child, then the child is yours, and you can come back for another one, and another one, and another one. Previously, there was an issue, but now that has been worked on. I shouldn't be even talking about it. Once the Children's Act was amended, that was worked upon. But now the few challenges that we encounter, I shouldn't say they are legal challenges. This could be related to the personality of the person that you're working with, because we don't work with the prospective adoptive parent in isolation. We work with a number of stakeholders. You've heard, I've told you about AOC Chairman's report, place of worship, your workplace and all that. But we also work with police officers, we work with probation officers, and sometimes different people behave differently. Talk about issues of incest. During lockdown, we've had, the media has been reporting so many cases of incest. A father impregnates a 12-year-old daughter. And then, because police has got involved, then the entire family is like, we are disowning the daughter because she got pregnant, and then police has taken our brother or our relative or my husband into prison. So they chase away the daughter. But thanks be to God for some centers we have in Uganda, the crisis pregnancy centers, that have been able to accommodate such young girls who have gotten pregnant out of crisis. But then after delivery, some family members don't even want to look at the newborn baby. Some of them, if they are good, they will say, okay, we are happy to take back our 12-year-old daughter and not the baby. So for such cases, what do? As long as we make sure that they are doing it in a legal way, signing affidavits relinquishing their parental rights over this child, then Sanyu will receive the child, find a parent that is ready to adopt the child, and the baby will be blessed with a new loving family. At the moment, many Ugandans have embraced adoption. When you talk about adoption, it is not very new in the ears of so many people like it was in the past years. Before, people thought adoption is for the very rich people or for those that have not given birth, the barren people that can't give birth in their marriages, or for Bazungu. But now the story has changed. And you know what that means in Uganda? If you have to pay school fees, take care of their medical needs, everyday needs, basic needs, it is expensive. And this person comes up. Why? Because now people are receiving the adoption topic positively. We have had families coming in just after they've been married. They're like, oh, we want to consider adopting a child first before we have a biological child. And that way, they will just mingle, we will all be a family. So I must say that at least there is positive reception, even though we are not yet there. How do we tell that we are not yet there? It is the parents that want to adopt that usually share their experiences with us, because we want to know if they have social support, have they informed their family members, friends, relatives, and they will tell you, when I informed my dad about my decision to adopt, he was like, why do you want to consider adoption? Why don't you take on your late brother's children? Why don't you take them into your home? You know, things of that nature. It is not God's plan to see children growing up in orphanages like Sanyu Babies Home and so many other orphanages in Uganda. So if you ever had a thought of adoption, come, just come. It is possible, it is doable, it is free of charge. Listen, many people have thought that if you want to adopt, you must pay so much money. As long as according to the law, and as far as Sanyu Babies Home is concerned, adoption is free of charge. Children are gifts from God, and so when you walk into Sanyu Babies Home, you will get the child at no cost.
Uganda, like most countries in Africa, has progressively become a sending country, especially to the United States of America, which receives approximately half of all internationally adopted children. According to the United States of America State Department report, in the year 2008, from the 1st of April to the 30th of September, 30 children received immigrant visas. Now, that number shot up in the year 2012, with about 238 children receiving immigrant visas. In a shocking twist, 227 of these 238 children, plus the 30 that were adopted in the year 2008, all these adoptions were finalized in the United States of America, with only 11 adoptions being finalized in the country Uganda. Now, we talked to Counsel Joel to help us understand exactly what international adoption is all about.
I'm called Joel Mhunguzi. I'm a lawyer. I work with Sailor Advocates, One Pebble Close in Colorado. Normally, adoption is a process where a child is taken over by parents who are called prospective parents, not the biological parents. A child is taken over and it is always legal. It is legal. There is no adoption that isn't legal. Then when it comes to intercountry adoption, this is where foreigners or people who are not within Uganda come into Uganda to adopt the children of Uganda. I'll first talk about the requirements for intercountry adoption. First of all, we look at three things in intercountry adoption. We look at the age, we look at citizenship, then the marital status. When we are to talk about age, the person adopting the child must be over 25 years, but must be 21 years older than the child he or she is adopting. And when it comes to citizenship, in intercountry adoption, if it is intercountry, that means a person who is not within Uganda is adopting a person within Uganda. Yes, when we come to the marital status, the marital status is that a female prospective parent cannot adopt a male child solely. Again, on marital status, if you're married to a person who is adopting, you must seek consent from the person you're married to. So that means a married person cannot adopt alone. However, there are exceptional circumstances where he or she can adopt alone. For example, where consent cannot be found, where they have separated, where one has died. Those are the exceptional circumstances that a person can adopt alone. The prospective parents, those who are adopting, of course, they file a petition in court, they pay the relevant court fees, then court sets a hearing date. The prospective children, the biological children, if at all they can, the biological parents, if at all they can be found, then the child himself will attend court, plus I think the social and probational welfare officer. They will attend court. Then, if the judge deems it fit that an adoption order should be granted, then he will go on and grant the adoption order. Intercountry adoption is, in Uganda, it is majorly governed by the Children's Act. Yeah, I know it all starts from, I think, Section 44 up to around Section 50 of the Children's Act. Section 44 stipulates on the jurisdiction of adoption. If it is a Ugandan adopting a Ugandan, it is normally done by the magistrate courts, those lower courts. But now, if we bring in an element of intercountry adoption, then that goes directly to the High Court. It is directed to the High Court. It is the only court that can handle intercountry adoption in Uganda. Then now we look at Section 45, which talks about the restrictions. It brings in the element of age, the element of spousal consent. As I had earlier told you, that you must be at least 21 years above the person you're adopting. For a person to adopt, he or she must be 25 years. A sole male cannot adopt a female child. It must be either a male adopting a male child or a female adopting a female child. Yes. So they can only be adopted when they are married. That means they are two. It is a husband and a wife. They are either adopting a girl or a boy. That's how it happens. But a male cannot adopt a female child. Intercountry adoption normally, it is not that hard. But normally, again, in an intercountry adoption, we are looking at countries we are having a bilateral agreement with. Of course, not every person from a country other than Uganda can adopt. There are some countries which are prohibited from adopting, which I would not say are not having a bilateral agreement with Uganda. Not every country can come and adopt, no.
We hope that this episode did shed some light on the legal proceedings if you're looking to adopt domestically or inter-country. I am Tracy K. Nalo, know the law.